Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel and welcome to day 57 of the 100-day project. What I'm doing today is really, really cute. So basically, what you see here are tiny little tabs that have been quilted and then embellished with a charm. So I'm just showing you a few examples here. So some of these pieces are charms. Some are items that have been salvaged, like little dangly things that have been salvaged off jewelry. Some of them have been made using lace. Others have been made using ribbon. So these couple are ribbon. That's ribbon. These are ribbon. And this is a cotton ribbon. And you can see that they're cute. They're kind of different sizes. Some have been decorated with, oh, sorry, these are not the same thing. These are just little tabs that have fabric with ribbon on them. So I'll make a little pile in the corner here. Okay, so what makes these special? Maybe I should pick one with more high contrast. So basically, and I didn't invent this idea. I saw it on a video, maybe a year or more ago, and have not, and of course don't remember who it was. So basically, it starts with a scrap of fabric, and of course we all have scraps of fabric. I just grabbed something near me, but this might not be the right kind of stuff. Too small. This is crazy. Well, that's not ideal, but just for purposes of demo, I'll use it. Okay, so basically a scrap of fabric, a piece of felt, and every so often you can buy these in the dollar store. You can buy them in thrift stores. Some of it is so thin as to almost be see-through. This white one is a bit better. Another thing I have here is batting that I salvaged from some quilt squares. I don't know if you can see that row of diagonal stitching, but of course I wasn't about to let this, to chuck this out. So I'm saving it, and I would not use a nice big piece like this for something like this. So that's where this craft felt sort of comes in handy. So, what's the story here? Well, this is one that is just about ready to go. So basically, excuse me, a piece of, this is cotton ribbon as well. A little smidge of felt. And again, because some of it maybe not. Well, on lacy ones, whatever you sandwich in between would be visible. So these have all obviously had a white felt used in the middle of them. Anyway, then just to kind of hold things together, I use a pin. And again, you can see different shapes. Now, because, say, for instance, this one is a long dangly thing, that would look kind of ridiculous on something, you know, say that small. So you kind of, basically what I did was I prepped a whole bunch of these. And in fact, let me show you that. I'm so sorry. So basically, again, using scraps, like these are sort of flannel pajama pants that somebody had. The trick to holding it all together is to just do a running stitch. So I've used all kinds of fabric in all kinds of sizes. So again, ribbon, again, lace. This is, I don't know if this is a, see, it's starting. Oh, see, I should cut that off. I bought this, well, in a grab bag, bought this yarn that has, you know, a string, like a plain string section, and then these pom-poms. But the darn things sort of start disintegrating, so I don't know, maybe that should go straight in the garbage. Anyway, so here's another lace one. I love this fabric. I've used it repeatedly for different things. And so here are, you know, I get rid of this fuzz. So I have a few of these sewn and ready to go. So this is it's easy. It's a great activity to do, you know, in front of the TV, or I'm sure it would even work in a car if you were not driving. Distracted stitching officer. If you were obviously on a road trip and were a passenger and had pre-assembled your things, it would be easy enough to stitch them. Now, in virtually, okay, this one I've obviously used black, which is clearly a contrasting color. On most of these others, I've just used white, like obviously white on white. The heck. On this one, though, on this ribbon, I chose to use, and I don't even know if you can see that, a really light peachy color, just to keep it kind of, you know, soft and pastel. Obviously you can use whatever color you want. The color you choose will obviously result in a different looking product in the end. Here's another one. And it will also, the advantage of picking one color and sticking with it is that you'll spend less time threading and knotting your thread. So one thing that I learned only very recently, and that was through doing the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, is the quilter's way, the proper way, the easy way, I don't know what it is, to knot some threads. So in this case, I've doubled it just so it would be a little stronger and it would maybe be a little more visible in whatever I do next. So basically you lay, sorry about the inky finger, you lay the needle beside the tail of the thread, wrap it around a couple of times, slide it down all the way down, and you've got a very nice, neat knot. Excuse me. Now, if I think that, oh, the fabric has a loose weave, I'll do it a second time and just make a bigger knot that I will be sure will not pull through whatever it is I'm sewing. So I'm going to cut that excess off. Well, those didn't exactly line up that well, but that's fine. Okay, so let's practice, or let's use this one as an example. So, did I have my knot showing? Looks like I didn't. What does show is where I've stitched on the charm. So let's just tuck this in here so that the knot will be inside. And maybe, let's just tuck that guy in a little more. Backtrack. And then this part, you know, this stitching, it can be as messy, as precise as you want it. Now, perhaps I should have used a different color thread just so it would be easier for you to see. But again, this is not rocket science. There's nothing here that anyone in the audience cannot do. And how close you want your rows, how big you want your stitches, all personal choice. Now, I guess the more efficient way to do this, let's get this needle up to the surface, would be to, you know, do 2 or 3 in one operation. No, maybe not so easy when it's got the tightly woven ribbon and the felt inside. So obviously it's not going to take long to do this. And frankly, the look of the hand stitching is what adds some charm to this. You know, obviously a person could whip these off on a sewing machine as well, but that would be a totally different look. So again, this is something that is good, kind of mindless work. Now, I'm not going to take the time to do this all the way because, you know what, you can understand what I'm showing you. I'll just finish this row, and I'll leave, yeah, I guess I should leave this, or no, I'll use up all this thread, and then I'll rethread it. Now, I have basically just been using sewing thread, but another way to get a more visible stitch would be to use, maybe say 2 strands or so of embroidery thread. Maybe I'll stop there. Okay, so basically to secure a knot, you would want to typically go under a last stitch or the nearest stitch, and even maybe a second time, and then put your needle through that little lasso part and tighten it. And although obviously this isn't going to be put through the any riggers of any sort, doing it a second time just kind of seems to be habit. Okay, so we'll leave that aside. I will rethread this needle and just go through some of the options. Whoops. It's my first day using scissors, so forgive me. Could have chewed that better. So obviously, whoops, there are several options for decorating them. Now, what I've shown you has been reused, repurposed jewelry findings or charms. But I gathered a few other things together because there are always choices. Maybe you don't have charms. Maybe you don't want to use the charms you do have in this way. So let's just look at what some things could be. And I'll just get rid of these guys, put them back in their little storage compartment. Okay, so here's a sequin. That could work. A button. I got a grab bag of keys at a thrift store recently. So smallish keys would work. This is just a recent order of some charms that I got. So again, depending on what color works and whether a person wants to have high contrast or have it blend in, will determine kind of what you choose. Now, before I go any further with decorating, I should also show you, before I move these guys out of the way, this was, and maybe you saw it during that video I did on, harvesting supplies from jewelry. This is one of those bracelets whose charms basically have 2 holes, and it would have had 2 rows of elastic. So I took that apart and I have all these pieces. Now, I think the reason I would not use them in this application is that they are fairly thick. So, they're almost 1/4 of an inch high. So I think I will put them aside, put them back for a different project. Now, these are all garden themed because that's what the bracelet was. But before I go any further, I'd just like to show you, sort of how some of these things could be used. So for instance, this is one that was done on with some lace. And again, when you're sewing on your embellishment or your decoration, you choose to decide how you envision it working. So here's another one on this same peachy pink lace. This is part of an earring. So, I mean, this could be a tab. This could be glued down as a tab on a page at the top, and then it dangles down. It could be on the side of a page with the bulk of the charm and a part of the tab, or a part of this little thing serving as a tab, which of course is attractive looking, but is also removes the bulk out of the actual book and has it at the edge. So I don't know, do we want to take the time? Why don't I just glue this guy down? And I'm choosing to put it on this is wallpaper, choosing to put it as a tab on this signature cover, so to speak. Now I think I have, what do I have? 3, I have 7 of these. Well, would I have 7 tabs? I don't know. Anyway, I will put this one sort of in the second position, if you know what I'm driving at there. So I'm going to leave about a good 1/2 inch of that without any glue, so that's the part that will be extending beyond the page. So this, again, is an easy project. I mean, there are a few steps to it, but hey, we're not afraid of that. That uses up all sorts of things. I've said it could be fabric, lace, ribbon, sort of something that you really love or something that you maybe have a surplus of. And it's a nice look. This is kind of sticking up here. And again, you'll notice that I used white felt in between these 2 layers because it would have been visible through the lace. Okay, so we'll just set that aside. Cool. Now I'm sure I have more of that. Maybe, I don't know if I would choose to do all 7 that way. Probably that wouldn't be the best thing. Here's another option using that same lace, just with a button. And you've already seen that one. Now, the other thing that I have put aside here, and I'm showing you as an option, are these tiny little beads. Again, they're very flat. This little gear. Now, it doesn't really have a hole. I mean, it has a hole in the center, but it doesn't have a hole that would make it sort of like a dangly thing, if you know what I'm saying. Like here, there's a ring at the top, and that becomes the thing. Here is this little eye pin that has been bent to make a place to attach it. I also have several of these flat metal things, and I'm thinking that looks kind of cool against there. And again, I decide kind of which is the front. I decide, do I want the folded edge to the outside? Do I want the fraying edge to the outside? Do I want one of these, this outer edging to be the side? So let's assume I want it that way. So maybe in this case, probably not the best one I could have picked for this example, because that white thread is going to be very visible against there. So maybe I should change my plan for this one and just, I had another idea. There's this gear here, and it's got a hole at each end. So I could theoretically just, attach it at the top and maybe add something at the bottom. Probably this is a better size. But I think what I'll do instead is I will tack it down using a thread through both top and bottom holes. And I think because I don't necessarily want my knot to show, I'll just go in between the layers so the knot is hidden inside. And I will just stitch over the edge a few times to secure it. And again, this is where it kind of helps to have the thread doubled up, because you get that feeling of security a little quicker than if this was a single thread. Kind of fraying, but that's okay. Now, if I'm going to try, boy, this kind of bugs me here. I'm going to try to just, well, go back. No, that's not going to work. I should have done it while I was underneath there. Okay, I'm just running my needle again between the layers. So sort of imagine where the felt is. That's where it's coming up. I don't know, can you see that? See the tip of the needle there? Now I can't really bend my needle, so I guess I'll just pull it out. This way I don't have a knot showing at the back, and I don't have a thread showing at the front, but I've managed to sort of get it close to the vicinity of where I need it. And we'll put in a few securing stitches here, making sure that I leave enough to tie off into a knot. And that's probably going to be enough. Oh, maybe I'll do one more. I'll do one more because I like living on the edge. Not. Okay, so I said that basically you loop it under a stitch. And again, run your needle through that little lasso part. I will do it again. And know that it's not going anywhere. So that's how that one looks. Now, if I were to continue, but I'm not going to because we need to keep some of these videos shorter, I might just consider, well, I would either pick a dark brown thread to attach this G, or I would glue this down and then sew on the gear and those little beads. And I would do that, you know, the same way I just go over the edge of the bead to secure it. And then basically, excuse me, if you've made a whole pile of these, because once you're on a roll, you're on a roll. Once you've assembled all the things that you want to use, you might as well keep going and make a bunch. Like, it would be foolhardy to make one. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So then, of course, once you've got a bunch pre-made, then you just do a blitz session and decorate them all as well. So I'm going to stop there. So again, using them as a page tab is a good idea. I would think that, you know, they almost have, especially if a person maybe added something more, they also could serve the purpose of a snippet or a cluster. A cluster. So totally up to you, but it's a great way to use surplus supplies. And because my voice is going, I'm going to go. My voice and I are going to go now. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.